Yeah, welcome to the channel. This is Naz, and today I'm going to be talking about Ascendance of a Bookworm. More importantly, why you should read Ascendance of a Bookworm. But first, let's kind of just show you the layout. This is what I have, but there's more light novels for this series, but it's broken into parts. So this here, first part is part one, because so mine is reincarnated. I'll do anything to become a librarian. Part one, daughter of a soldier. So this part one, daughter of a soldier. Part two is something else. Part three, something else. So the progression of mine's life as she, transitions from being in that new world, kind of divided neatly into kind of segments, and then each segment has an overreaching arc. So, okay, let's talk about why you should read Ascendance of a Bookworm. In my opinion, first of all, if you're a book collector or a manga collector of any sorts, if you read fantasy, if you read light novels, this is up your alley. Okay, if you're a collector, if you're an addict like all of us. For one, Uraro in her world in Japan was did not get dispatched by Chokun. Okay, she did not get Chokuned into. She did not get isekai'd by a truck, but she got Chokuned or isekai'd by a bookshelf. She died. She died in the library when the bookshelves fell on her. There was an earthquake or something. Whatever the case is, she died the most lamest death, like all these isekai characters. That's the point. But she dies from books. She loves books. That's all she did in her life. She had her nose in a book, and she was a biblio. She was a collector, a reader of all genres and everything. At the moment, I have like about 12 volumes. So these volumes, like I showed earlier, are divided into parts, and I'm kind of finishing part three at the moment. I have, I'm almost done with this volume, and I have two more before I finish part three, and then I'll continue on to part four. The unique thing about mine, her story, and her reincarnation is you don't have to worry. For one, if you're sick of all of these OP reincarnations, all these demon world, the typical demon lord gets reincarnated, and he is the strongest in a new world where everything is pretty much lowered, the setting, the stats. You don't have to worry about that. This is not that kind of world. So if you're sick and tired of the harem, this is not it. You don't have to worry about that. So it does not have all of the negative attributes of isekai that comes along with fan service. These things that sometimes take away from the story, take away from the characters. So it doesn't have that. Number two, the historical aspects or the invention. This is kind of like a prehistory, a historical telling of how the printing press came into view, because in this world where mine is reincarnated into, when she's by dying, her last wish was to be in a world full of books. And ironically, the world that she ends up in is pretty much like pre-modern era, uh, where the peasants are not allowed to read books. There are nobles and peasants, and the disparity between the two classes are so big that nobody owns books. There are no bookshops. So she's just disheartened. And in this world, she vows to increase the literacy rate and become a librarian. That's her goal. Now, she can't just automatically do this. She's not. She doesn't have that Naruto effect where everybody just flocks to her and loves her. So these are kind of like the reasons why I think this it's a great series. Those are all extras. Is the writing. The writing is accessible. It's easy. For me, like Overlord and Tanya the Evil are, for me, as far as like when it comes to the writing, they're like one of the biggest obstacles besides the story. The story is unique in Overlord. The Tanya the Evil is superb. But this one, and I think Mushoku Tensei is another one, the writing just, for me, like easy. So easy writing to understand, and then also it doesn't take itself too serious. You love mine. The characters are all unique besides mine. So there's Lutz, there's Bano, there's her sister, her mom, her dad, the people at the monastery. There are a cast of characters that you will see them also developed and them enjoy their stories. You see? And then the other reason is this is for anybody, all ages, doesn't matter. For Mushoku Tensei, I wouldn't advise it. Like I wouldn't let the young ones to read Mushoku Tensei. Even though I love Mushoku Tensei, it's kind of disturbing. Some of the aspects of the character are, I'm like, wow, questionable. This is wholesome. It does. It takes into. It feels like a preschool. It's middle grade, but at the same time, anybody can enjoy it. So it's accessible for everybody from, if you're a teen, preteen, to an adult. If you have a love for books, or the word or creating books or any aspect of that sort, and also you're interested in fantasy in the the medieval genre, the medieval setting. If you're interested in that, this is it. This is it. It incorporates all of that and just gives it to you in this uh like innocent. I'm just, every time I read this, I'm happy, I'm smiling. The conflicts in here are not like the end of the world. Yes, they're dire to the character. The character is feeling it, and you can sense the dread and some of her mishaps. And yes, she does go through all that, but they don't feel like the end of the world. There are some aspects you have to kind of suspend disbelief. There are certain things that, yeah, it has its flaws. Yet at the same time, like when it comes in comparison to all these other isekai genres, all these other isekai, within its own genre, this thing is doing something that has not been. I don't know if anybody else done it yet. I probably haven't read it, but one other reason is the process. It kind of teaches you a history lesson of how paper was made. This is like a how-to. If you're into that how-to, how things are made, how cereals are made, and you watch those what is it, documentaries, it feels like that. It kind of gives you a step-by-step process of how, from the wood, the mixing, the process that's involved in making paper first, putting ink to paper, and then after that, the process of the mass production. Because think about it, we are consumers. We buy books. These are coming from a publishers. Somebody buying the bindings, and we talk about bindings, and we talk about paper quality, and we're talking about the ink that's being used a lot of times, or the illustrations. How what are all those processes, and how are they involved? So like in the middle section, you'll get into the product, pretty much the different aspects, the smithies, the carpenter, the ink guild, all these different guilds coming in, the accumulation of all these inventions coming in to produce this. She calls it the Gutzingberg. She recruits individuals who are skilled in their specific field, and they contribute to her, because she wants to print books in mass and make it accessible to everybody, so that she can be a librarian. So she's selfish, and she doesn't shy away from telling you that. There's nothing wrong with it. You know why she's doing it. She's not doing it out of the kindness of her heart. She's just doing it because she wants to enjoy reading. She's selfish in that regard. But at the same time, she is bringing the world along so that it can reach that point, forcing the world that she's in to catch up to her standards. So it's a balance. But at the same time, the world is not just being in awe, because every time you get this person that comes from an advanced, is really in a sense somewhat of a time travel. But every time you get one of these characters that comes from an advanced realm back into this era, this medieval era, that's pretty much what reincarnation is a lot of times, or the broken system, the broken power that they are given. Well, the world has to contend with that character. They're either in awe, and that person becomes like a Superman, from pretty much Krypton, and they become Earthlings, and they have nothing to counter this person, or they're just left behind. This person can. Whereas in this series, the world is coming along, but at the same time, teaching her or taking advantage or bringing her immersion. Is an immersion. It's like a two-way convergence. It's not just one way. The world that she's reincarnated into has actually affected her more, and by the time you get into part 3, it's not the same character. It's not the same character that came from the old world to the new world. And I love that. I love the character transaction. And some hard choices, hard decisions have been made throughout. It's not just a happy-go-lucky ending. Yeah, a lot of people are all frowning and like happy with she is the center of the universe. But a lot of protagonists are the center of the universe, because that's their stories. Their story is how they have impacted the world. That's why we love reading them. It's the hero's journey. So in her hero's journey, I can't I can't wait to read these two, and then move on and get part 4. And I think we're caught up with I don't know if we're caught up with the Japanese productions. So this is kind of a wholesome. I don't know. I just kind of went off the rail. Actually, I was supposed to convince you to get this, tell you reasons why you should read this. But I went off the rail. I don't know what I did. But I love this isekai. This is one of my top tier. Whoa! I think I just spoiled something from my soul. But that's about it, and I am out. Thank you very much. If you guys like these type of contents, please leave a like. Let me know if you have any other series as to why. If I should do a series as to why you should read this type of series. I do have other isekai. I do have manga that I'm hauling all the time. If you have any idea as to what series I should do, a dive in like this where I'm talking about why. I think I'm probably going to get better at the format, but I want to continue this format. So please let me know. Give me some feedback, and I will see what I can do. So any series, whether I have it or not, I will look into it. So thank you very much for watching, taking time out of your day. You don't have to, but you did. So thanks. And with that, I'm out. Peace.